Tonight, an exclusive WECT investigation reveals never-before-seen or heard recordings captured by a malfunctioning police cruiser camera revealing racism within the ranks of the Wilmington Police Department. More than 2 years ago, 3 Wilmington police officers were publicly fired after the recordings were created and discovered by chance.
You know, you have a civil war, go ahead and wipe them off the map. That'll put them back about 4 or 5 generations. Because, and then you know what? The good ones can go live in their little communities and they can do what they want to do. Just stay out of my way.
That's former Wilmington police officer Kevin Piner talking with another former officer, Jesse Moore. The conversation was recorded on a police cruiser camera, which was accidentally activated.
But if we do not get a handle on this, we are not going to have a country for our kids to be raised in.
Tonight, an exclusive WECT investigation reveals never-before-seen or heard recordings captured by a malfunctioning police cruiser camera revealing racism within the ranks of the Wilmington Police Department. More than 2 years ago, 3 Wilmington police officers were publicly fired after the recordings were created and discovered by chance. Although the department released some of the transcripts of the videos, a judge blocked the release of the recordings themselves. WECT's investigative reporter Michael Prats worked for months to get those recordings, and Michael, we were finally able to get them released.
Yeah, Fran, and the judge didn't change his mind, but when one of the 3 fired officers appealed his dismissal to Superior Court, the recordings were submitted as evidence and became public record. Still, it took us getting our lawyers involved to obtain them. And we do want to warn you, the language and subject matter caught in these recordings can be very disturbing to hear.
You know, you have a civil war, go ahead and wipe them off the map. That'll put them back about 4 or 5 generations. Because, and then you know what? The good ones can go live in their little communities and they can do what they want to do. Just stay out of my way.
That's former Wilmington police officer Kevin Piner talking with another former officer, Jesse Moore. The conversation was recorded on a police cruiser camera, which was accidentally activated.
But if we do not get a handle on this, we are not going to have a country for our kids to be raised in.
In the days before, police and protesters clashed in Wilmington following national calls to end police brutality after the murder of George Floyd, a black man in Minneapolis.
You told me tonight, you said, all right, tomorrow's a purge day, get as many as you want. Dude, I go down there. I go down there and slaughter them motherfuckers.
The recordings were not only created by chance, but also discovered by chance when a supervisor conducting random audits of video footage decided to take a listen.
So I just sat down as a supervisor. We're supposed to review a video from each person every month, and I just sat down that day saying I'm going to try to knock a few out today, and that's what I was doing.
That's the supervisor who discovered the videos talking to Wilmington Police Department's internal affairs after she reported what she found. The court evidence exclusively obtained by WECT included not only the racist recordings, but 4 internal affairs investigations as well, including the 3 officers captured in the recordings. Both Jesse Moore and Kevin Piner admit that these are their voices in the recordings, and both say that the conversations were them venting, something Internal Affairs wanted to know a little bit more about.
You just used the term and then you followed that up with having to take it to a Negro magistrate. And so what's going on with that? Is that just how you vent?
So yeah, I shot my mouth off, shouldn't have done that. That's not who I am. I'm not no racist.
Keisha James, an attorney with the National Police Accountability Project, says regardless of stress on the job, this was more problematic than just venting.
It's really hard to believe that these officers were just venting, especially when you have them calling for civil war and you have them using racial slurs.
There's no doubt law enforcement is a stressful job, and in recent years, there has been a strain between the community and police. Both Piner and Moore told Internal Affairs that the tension at the time was reaching a boiling point.
The whole thing that started this whole conversation, man, is just that I'm just at a breaking point, you know.
For many, the hate-filled language from the now former Wilmington Police Department officers came as a shock. But for Piner's supervisor, who found the recordings, it wasn't.
So did what you hear on the video surprise you?
No.
The supervisor explains how she overheard similar, albeit less inflammatory conversations during lineup in the prior days. On the larger level, James says it's not the fact that the officers said these things that surprises her.
It's also rare for those officers to kind of remain terminated instead of being reinstated either at that department or another department. The scary part is that these two conversations just happened to get accidentally recorded, and then the department took steps to investigate and then released some of the details about their investigation and what was contained in the recordings. That is typically not the case.
However, District Attorney Ben David and Chief of Police Donnie Williams both made sure that didn't happen.
So what we did is we said, not only are they immediately fired, but they should never hold the badge again anywhere in this great state.
I have recommended that none of them be eligible for rehire in any position with the city of Wilmington.
And Chief Williams told us when all of this came out that he planned to meet with every single officer one-on-one. He also said he would implement implicit bias training for all 350 Wilmington Police Department employees, and said he wanted to include citizens on the department's hiring process and even create a citizen review board.
You know, Michael, I've said it on camera, I've said it off camera. It's very disturbing. Do we know if the Wilmington Police Department has made any of those changes?
Well, Fran, we reached out to the Chief of Police multiple times for a request for an interview. So far, we haven't gotten that interview, and he has declined, so we don't know right now.
All right. Michael Pretz, thanks so much for that update. Now, we should point out all three of those former officers are no longer serving in law enforcement.